Hello, hello. We are back. Welcome to the Tactical Businessman. If this is your first time, welcome. Repeat. Thank you for being here. Today's topic, excuse me, sir, are there drugs in your car? When I first started as a police officer, I was very excited. If you've spent any time with me, you know that I'm very passionate about what I do. And I was very passionate, except back then it was uncontrolled passion. So I was kind of all over the place. And I was really excited. Graduated from the academy, got assigned to my squad. I was working a 5 p.m. to 3 a.m. shift. You're probably like, man, that sounds like horrible hours. I was like, man, these are great hours. Why? Because, well, towards the evening and early morning hours, the good people go to bed and the bad people are still out. So I knew it was going to be an exciting time. And it really was. There were days that we would go from call to call to call, and I would be exhausted, but I was like, man, that was so much fun. Well, during this time, one of the things that I was really interested in was getting drugs off of the street. It was something that's always been part of me, if you will, having grown up in a small border town where one of the main trades, if you will, was the drug trade. I found myself in this place where I was always drawn towards it. And so I was always trying to put myself in a position to make that happen. Now, the problem was, as a rookie, as a new police officer, I had no idea what in the hell I was doing. So when I would go and I would do a traffic stop, or when I would go and I would, try and find the areas where drug dealers hung out, let's just say it was very rough. In other words, I wasn't really skilled at it, right? What do I mean by that? Well, think about this. Michael Jordan, classic example. He was a basketball, if you don't know who he was a basketball player, in fact, the best of all time. But when he was a freshman in high school, he got cut from the basketball team. Got cut. Now think about it. Nowadays, you've got these freshmen in high school who are getting college scholarships. He was a freshman in high school and got cut from the basketball team. In other words, he wasn't very good, but he knew what he wanted and he knew what he needed to do to get there. So he dedicated himself hours upon hours upon hours in the gym, shooting over and over and over, lifting weights, working out, so on and so forth. And the rest, as they say, is history. Everybody knows Michael Jordan because he won 6 championships, because he was a dominant defender, because he was the best basketball player ever, right? But he didn't start off that way. Very similar. Now, I'm not saying I'm the Michael Jordan of police officers. Don't get that mixed up. What I am saying is, when I first started out, I literally had no clue what I was doing. And basically, if there was the opportunity to get cut from people who were trying to be successful in finding drug dealers, I would have been cut. In other words, I'm pulling over grandmothers, I'm pulling over families, I'm pulling over the wrong people. Now, I'm asking them the right questions. I'm like, hey, so, where are you guys going? What's going on? And I start digging and, of course, realize that it's a family and they just got done with church, or it's the donut delivery guy or whatever it is. In other words, I'm not finding the right person. And it took me quite a bit of time. And you know what finally did it was I sat down with somebody who was really good at finding these criminals. He just had a knack for it. And I sat down with him and I'm like, hey, man, how can I get better at this? And he's like, okay, so what are you looking for? I was like, drug dealers. I want to find drug dealers. I want to arrest them. I want to take them off the street. I want to make the world a better place. And he's like, all right, what does a drug dealer look like? And I sat there in stunned silence. Why? I didn't have any idea what a drug dealer looked like. Seriously. Put 10 people in front of me, 5 of them are drug dealers, and I'll go 0 for 5. I just had no idea what I was looking for. Then the next question he asked me was, okay, so where do they hang out? Again, I had no answer. Nothing. And he goes, okay, so how are you going to get into their cars? How are you going to get the drugs? And I was like, no answer again. So as you can tell, I was ill prepared to do what it was that I was trying to do, which was catch and arrest drug dealers. Now, why do I tell you this story? Because it relates to your business. And you're probably like, how in the hell does a drug dealer relate to me and my business? Well, let me explain. When you got into business, either for yourself or for somebody else, it doesn't matter whether you're the executive, the CEO, the entrepreneur, whatever it is you are. When you got into business, odds are you just wanted to make money, or you had a good idea of how you wanted to make money, or you had just a good idea for a product or a system or whatever. And here you find yourself in this place where if I was to ask you this same question, would you be able to answer that? These three questions. Who is your ideal client? Can you answer that? Where is it that you're taking this ideal client? Can you answer that? And then how is it that you're going to get them there? Can you answer that? So as you can see, there's a huge correlation. Now, back to the story. I spent the next probably 3 years, that's right, years, figuring this out. I had some mentoring, some tutelage from some senior officers who were kind enough to help me out, but I had to go out and I had to figure it out. I had to figure out and start to define, okay, what does a drug dealer look like? And it wasn't what you thought, right? And so I had to be able to be good at picking the drug dealer out. And then I had to be able to figure out where is it that more drug dealers hang out than not. And so what did I have to do? Something called market research. Sound familiar? Yes, there are statistics where more violent crimes happen. There are statistics where more drugs are taken off the street, so on and so forth. And so I would look at the maps and I would say, okay, here's the areas that I need to be hanging out with. There's a higher likelihood of me finding what I'm looking for there. And then finally, I had to figure out the questions that I was going to ask them to be able to get to the end game. What it was I was trying to do was find their drugs, take them to jail. Again, a multi-year process. So I want you to think right now about your business, right? And I'm going to go back to these. The three questions that you need to ask yourself right now. And if you can't answer these, you should probably stop what you're doing and answer these. Because when you do, it's going to eliminate a ton of what? Unnecessary work, stress, frustration, and waste of money. Okay, question number 1. Ask yourself, who is your ideal client and or avatar? In other words, who are you serving? This is going to sound ridiculous, right? Because in the end, or at the beginning, what you're going to say is everybody. Because that's what everybody says. But you're not really out there serving everybody. See, when I got into business, I did the same thing. I got into the world and I'm like, hey, here I am, world. Everybody, I am for you. And it took me a while to face the fact that I was not for everybody. I'm a very direct person. Some people don't like that. I don't BS. Some people don't like that. I curse. Some people don't like that. So on and so forth. So I had to figure out who is my ideal avatar. Who is the person that I'm going after? Well, the space that I'm going after is the CEO, the entrepreneur, the executive. That's the space that I'm going after. Well, who am I going after? I'm going after the person who is frustrated, who is angry, who is disappointed, who is tired, who is stuck with lack of direction in that role. That's who I'm going for. And they have to, guess what? That's right, connect with me. I'm not going to show up and be like, hello, everybody. Very nice to meet you today. Let's start out with a get to know you session. I will tell you my name and you tell me, like, how ridiculous does that sound? It sounds ridiculous to me. Some people do it. Some people like it. That's not me. In fact, the other day, I went to a business mastermind type environment. And inside of this business mastermind, everybody was telling everybody else, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do, so on and so forth. And what do you think? Actually, I want to explain this. I'm going to back up a second. I'm going to back up and I'm going to tell you in detail what it was. I won't name the company. I got invited to this mastermind. There was about 60 people there. And inside of this group, everybody had 60 seconds. 60 seconds to talk about who they were, what they did, what they could offer to people in the group, and what they were looking for. Sounds pretty simple, right? So people would get up and they would share. I'm a financial analyst and I help people save money. I do financial needs analysis and I'm looking for referrals. By the way, there was like 10 of those people. And it got to this point where everybody's like, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is who I am, this is what I do. And towards the end, I was like, I'm falling asleep. And I looked around the room and most everybody was as well. So we get to me, and mind you, I've never done this, but I'm like, well, we're swinging through for the fences. Here we go. We get to me, and what do you think I do? I tell a story. Now, I'm not going to share that story with you guys right now, but I will share it with you at some point when we have a conversation. But I share a story, and inside of that story, I curse. Inside of that story, I'm very direct. And by the end of those 60 seconds, although I didn't really get out what it was that I did, I had already offended half of the room. The other half were intrigued by the story, but scared. So afterwards, out of 60 people, there were 2 that came up to me and had a conversation with me. 2 out of 60. But see, I could immediately tell that those 2 were people that that I wanted to work with. I had done a great job of putting myself in an environment. They were all business owners, executives, CEOs, that entrepreneurs, that environment. I had done a good job explaining who I was through the story. And so now they wanted to know more. When's the last time that you did that? When's the last time that you filtered through? Okay, so question 1, again, who is your ideal client or avatar? If you cannot define them by either sex or age or whatever it is, that the income level, occupation, whatever it is that you need to define them. If you can't define them, then you got a big problem. So take the time to define them. Question 2, where are you taking them? In other words, if you have, let's just say you're in the fitness industry. I'm not, but let's just say you are. And your ideal client is a female who's 35 to 50 and she's at least 20 pounds overweight. That's your ideal client. Cool. You got that figured out. Where are you taking them? Are you making them stronger? Are you helping them lose weight? Are you helping them feel better about themselves? Like, where is it that you're taking them? Because when you start to have conversations with these people, they don't just want to go to the gym. When you're 18, you want to go to the gym. When you're 35, you want results. You don't want the BS. You don't want the dog and pony show. You don't want to go to the gym where everybody's flexing in front of the mirrors. That you want results. So what results are you going to get them? And then the third question, how is it that you're going to get them there? In other words, you're taking them to a particular place, but how is it that you're going to get them there? Back to the fitness industry. Is it 12-week plan that's going to trim the body fat, build the muscles, so on and so forth? Does it include some coaching as far as self-esteem? Like, what is it that you're giving these people that's going to help them get to where they're trying to go? Think of this as being a vehicle, right? What's the car that's taking them from where they are to where they want to go? Cool, you got GPS and the program in the car. That's awesome. But what's the car? Describe it, right? What are the features? How is it going to get them there? Because they're going to be asking. Now, if you can answer these questions, what do you think is going to happen to the likelihood of you succeeding? Going through the roof. Guarantee it. What do you think happened to me after about 3 years? Now, again, mind you, I didn't have this structure, so I was kind of winging it. But after figuring these things out, what do you think happened? Arrest after arrest after arrest after arrest. And then I went and worked on the narcotics team, undercover, arrest after arrest after. Like, I started to have that success. I could pick the drug dealer out. I could pick their car out. I knew where they hung out. I knew what to ask them. I knew how to have a conversation with them. I knew how to get them to where I wanted them to go. So take the time, answer these 3 questions. It will give you clarity in business that you've been missing. All right, that's all I got for you today. Remember, it's always easier to what? To stay ready than it is to get ready. We'll see you guys on the next one.